This podcast has spoilers. Be warned.
Alright, baby.
Welcome to the theater.
Are you ready? And I'll make a theme song and everything later. Ready. I haven't done it yet. I'm sorry.
That sounds great. And as much as I can contribute as I learn how to do it, I'll be glad to do that.
You're contributing more than you know. Your sheer existence. Your dreams that you have. These are all contributions to a great podcast.
What a dream, what a dream.
Hello and welcome to episode 1 of TheaterCast. This is pre-recorded live right here in the heart of Connecticut, right here in KMAX Studios. And tonight we are going to discuss the movie Logan. So please get your tickets, grab your popcorn and your drinks, and take your seat, for the show is about to begin.
Here's Johnny.
You can't handle the truth.
For TheaterCast.
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you?
With Louis and Zerb.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
Get your tickets. Take your seats.
I'm Jenny. I'm Forrest Gump.
Are you going to plagiarize the whole thing for us?
For TheaterCast.
Hello and welcome again. My name is Urbanator and with me is Louis.
Hello.
Louis is one of the most important people in my life, not just because he's a close friend and a Facebook friend on top of that, but
because I supply you with the blood that you need.
I am you are the dealer for my habit, which is habitual DVD use.
That is very true. Yes, I work at a place that supplies Kevin with about 90% of his DVD collection.
Which has gotten out of hand. There's stacks behind the racks, too, that she being my wife, is not too familiar with.
No, I see it. You're going to just need drawers soon.
Eventually.
Bunch of drawers, all cataloged, everything. You might even need to put a computer with an electronic database just to be able to find some of your DVDs.
I got a barcode app that helps me with that, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
So that's a cool thing. What we're going to do is discuss movies. This is a theater casting. We're discussing movies, how we feel about them, how they nourish us with our day-to-day lives, and I'm so glad that we're doing it.
And, of course, we're going to talk about how they made us feel and whether or not you should go out and see them. So whether you've seen the movie before or you're listening to this podcast because you're trying to decide whether or not to see a movie.
And it's going to make your day brighter as it does mine. And we should start with a dream that you had a couple of nights ago.
Oh, boy.
That I love and I want to frame for future readings.
Yeah, so I woke up one morning, I went to work, and shortly after I got to work, I had an opportunity to text good old Zerby here.
Hi.
And I texted him this. I had a dream last night that you and I did a podcast about fire trucks. And when we wrapped up, you suddenly yelled, "Oh no, we didn't record!" And you pointed to a big panel with a bunch of buttons, one of which was big and red, reading podcast. So I quickly hit all the buttons, and you went, "Oh no!" and pointed to the bottom right button, which said drain. And the lake, the one that's out back your house, started draining. So we had to paddle out to the center on an inflatable raft and sink a big piece of plywood with rocks and plug it up. We succeeded. We gave each other a high five, and then we turned to a camera crew, which was in a boat just alongside us, and we recorded an iced tea commercial.
That is an awesome dream. How did you know that I would be serving you iced tea?
I just assumed, since you have a nice patio out here and you're by a lake, that you just have a nonstop supply of iced tea.
That's true. We always have a nonstop supply of iced tea.
Nonstop supply of iced tea, beer, bratwurst, whining cats. Yes. Jerry, how did you get out? Okay, thank you.
We appreciate your input. We saw Logan.
Yeah, we both saw Logan.
I loved it. It was amazing.
I also thought that Logan was a pretty darn good movie.
And Jerry seemed to enjoy it as well.
Jerry just liked it because it had a fellow actor with claws.
That's true. Giving you a look.
He only had 3 claws, though, Jerry.
Yeah, don't worry about it. You have 4.
Yeah, you are still superior in many ways. Now get lost.
So people need to know who Louis is and why Louis is here.
Do they need to, though? I mean, do they really need to know who I am?
He needed a ride home, so on the way, I thought we would stop by here, and I'd say, look, give this a shot.
You don't need to admit that you kidnapped me to do a podcast, all right?
It's okay.
I offered you $10
Just
for
drink
gas,
more
and you
of
were
this
like,
tea, and you'll be fine.
no, just do a podcast with me. That'll be fine. You don't need to give me $10. That was 4 hours ago. Send help.
It was you are the one that will come out of the woodwork when I'm in the store, and you'll say, hey, here's another batch of movies. And you always hand me the ones that I take home. This is one reason you're here.
Well, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I am an avid movie watcher.
Definitely.
I go to the movies frequently. I view movies in my off time a lot. And I generally have, I think, a good taste in movies.
I agree.
And so I do try to curate the selection of movies that you're going to view at the Goodwill.
And that's true. And you always seem to come over and you always take the movies out of my hand and go, good, crap, good, crap.
Seen it. Haven't seen it, but wanted to. Seen it twice. Maybe you'll look into this one. How about this one? Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons you're here. But what was your upbringing like in the world of movies? Like, did you guys watch them at home all the time, or were you in the theater all the time? What was your thing?
When I was a young kid, we didn't have cable, so we were never watching a lot of television in general. However, we had the neighborhood's best selection of Disney movies.
Oh, man.
We had a whole shelf filled of everything from Snow White to Hunchback of Notre Dame to all of those great Disney movies. And that was probably one of the factors that led to me loving movies in general. It's just the ability to pull something off the shelf, throw it in the VCR, and watch a movie. VCR. So thank you very much, Ma, for going out and buying all those movies all the time. And there was also the fact that whenever I would go over some of like my mother's friends' houses, they would usually just throw on a movie and be like, let's let him watch a movie while we, chat around the table and do whatever the heck they were doing.
Right.
So that's how I would get exposed to some of the more adult-themed movies. Like one of the earliest movies I can remember watching was Leprechaun.
With Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, that definitely had no effect on the way my psyche works. So, and as well as a lot of TV. And it wasn't until I was maybe 13, 14 years old, my stepfather was a communications expert for the military. So he needed an internet connection well before most people had internet. And that was definitely my first major step into learning about movies and TV, just the ability to peruse the internet and go to a lot of these websites. There were a bunch of them. The QuickTime website, I don't know if you remember, was one of the biggest movie database and trailer watching spots on the internet. I would go there daily just to see if a new movie was coming out, and I started going to movies and I started buying my own movies, and before you knew it, I started buying DVDs, and next thing you know, I just became a huge movie fan.
You became Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah, both together.
Yeah.
It goes with my split personality.
Well,
shut up, you. I'm sorry, what?
Are you talking to yourself? I'm Ebert. Ebert was the fat one, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Or was it Siskel because I don't know, but I'm the fat one.
He's the fat one.
Well, everyone knows me. Hi, I'm Zerbinator. Listen to my shows.
Yeah, do it. Listen to his shows.
But yeah, I've been trying to get a movie podcast for a while, and then you asked me, what about a movie podcast? And I said, I would love to do a movie podcast. And then you said,
let's do a movie podcast.
And I said, let's do a movie podcast.
I would love to do nothing than just talk about movies for hours on end.
Well, then let's do this. We'll keep this to an hour.
Okay, all right.
But we will have plenty of these
is that
episodes.
enough? Is that enough? Okay, I guess that's enough.
Do you want longer?
Yeah, like 7 hours. Can we do 7 hours of a pod? Is 7 hours too much for a podcast?
That'd be like a 700.
Listen, Dan Carlin does like 4 hour long podcasts about history. I think we can do at least 7 to 18 hours worth of a podcast.
I don't have the bandwidth.
Oh, all right. We'll keep it to an hour.
Wow, really? It's your 4 hour podcast? That's sad. So, Logan.
Logan, yes, 2017's Logan.
I'll let you take number one. Who made this?
Well, let me just start by saying it's a good thing that we're doing Logan now and not several weeks ago, because it just came out on DVD about 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And it's kind of absurd to do a podcast in that little gray period between when it's not in theaters and before it comes out on DVD. Because anyone listening to the podcast would be like, I want to go see that movie, but they can't.
Right.
So guess what? It's out on DVD. If you want to rent it digitally, if you want to go to your local Redbox, whatever it is that you want to do, go and get it. We both do we both recommend it?
I highly recommend it.
He highly recommends it, and I medium recommend it.
What?
I'm sorry, was that too much of a spoiler? Should I just yes, I also highly recommend it.
You can say medium if you wish.
Okay, medium.
Be honest.
Don't force me.
Drink more tea.
Anyways, so first things first.
Who made this?
Who made this?
Humans.
Well, definitely humans. There are very few movies not made by humans.
Or Homo sapiens, if you prefer.
Logan was written and directed by James Mangold. He's not a household name. I don't think that's going to really jump to the front of anyone's mind who isn't a major movie buff.
Right.
He's known for movies like 1999's Girl Interrupted and 2007's 3:10 to Yuma. So if you've seen those movies, then you've seen something that James Mangold has made. He was also the director of 2013's The Wolverine, which kind of makes him an obvious choice for director of this movie.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, if he was on top of that, then why not another Wolverine movie, another X-Man movie? He was also the executive producer of a TV show called Zoo, which came out not that long ago in 2016. As well as a few other things. He's done a bunch. Go check out his filmography on IMDb if you're curious about what types of things he's done.
Yeah, he's been out there.
Yeah.
Been around.
He's done a few things, mostly within the last 20 years. He shares a lot of writing credits on this movie, as well as a bunch of other works. Scott Frank was another person who wrote on this movie. He's also written on Wolverine. So he got dragged over from that. And he also wrote 2002's Minority Report. So
I love that movie.
If you enjoyed Minority Report,
very, very much,
then you have enjoyed a piece of work that Scott Frank has written for. And another writer on this movie was Michael Green, who wrote 2011's Green Lantern. And he's also working on the new Alien Covenant.
Get out of here.
Yeah, no.
And that's a big one. I must see that.
Absolutely. And that's a movie that I plan on seeing in theaters. I'm not going to wait around for it to come out on DVD.
Yeah, I got to see it in the theater.
Because that's a big deal. It's a big movie. It's going to have special effects. It's going to answer questions or just ask a lot more. I'm not really sure.
And Ridley Scott's eyeballs are making that puppy.
Ridley Scott's everything is making that. He actually gave his left foot to make that movie. Did you know that he did that?
I heard it was his right.
His right foot? Why would he? All right, well, Ridley Scott's doing his own thing, I guess.
With his foot.
With his feet.
It's got good tempo.
Yeah.
Well, who starred in this movie?
Who starred in this movie?
I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
Well, of course, the huge Ackman was in it.
Huge.
He's a huge Ackman. He's a great actor. Hugh Jackman playing Logan, probably for the last time in his life. But we don't know that for sure. Because God knows you pay enough money is going to be in there. And what a choice. He still looks good. I'm not saying anything that isn't allowed nowadays, but I'll tell you what, he looks good.
Yeah, I mean, he does look good. He definitely looks like the old man Logan that this is it's a comic book that this is based off of.
Old man Logan.
He's got the old man Logan looking, but if I'm an old man like that old man Logan, I'm going to look pretty damn good.
That's right. Well said. Patrick Stewart playing Charles. Good Lord. Patrick Stewart playing an older Patrick Stewart. He did a great job.
Patrick Stewart was a good casting choice in the first place for Xavier. So to keep him on for all of these X-Men years.
It's amazing. And he's Sir, of course. He's a Sir Knight. But he, in this movie, especially this movie, I don't think I've ever seen him act any better in any other movie. Now, I haven't seen some of the hoity-toity London movies he's been in. And that's my fault. But in my opinion, I thought he was amazing in this, playing sort of, with everything that he's been through in all of those movies, playing sort of a wackadoo. At the same time, a very sincere human being that just isn't going to let all the crap bother him anymore. He just like, whatever. And he does such a great job of doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, I don't like boats, so I haven't seen a lot of movies from over the water.
And then I'm not even going to follow that up with a comment. It's okay, though. If you don't like boats, that's good. Daphne Keane, I have never seen her in anything before.
That's because she only has one other role that she's known for. The Refugees. That occurred in 2014, and she played a character called Anna. And to be honest, I don't know what that show is about. Have you seen it?
Never.
No. Yeah.
But
So I'm not sure if it's maybe on a network that's not too popular, or maybe it just didn't do so well. I guess that doesn't really matter.
She's great in this.
She did a damn good job, and so we're probably going to be seeing a lot more of her soon.
And I think most of the stunts were her own. I'm guessing.
I would hope so.
I'm just throwing that out there.
I mean, she did the Wolverine lunge.
Oh, so well.
If she's going to take that Wolverine lunge from Hugh Jackman, please let her have it. Just keep doing it.
And the hangnail on her foot.
Yeah, well, I mean, she probably should have clipped that a while ago.
I wonder if Ridley Scott gave her that foot.
Oh, yeah.
From his situation.
He probably let that nail grow and then just gave her his foot.
That's what I would do.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And just covered it in metallic paint.
Which you could pick up at any hardware store.
Yeah, I get mine from the dollar store. Well, I mean, not that I don't paint my nails.
Boyd Holbrook plays Pierce. Now, Pierce is a gentleman not to be messed with.
He's kind of an ass.
The ass of the movie.
Yeah, I guess he was. He was kind of the main antagonist. He was just a jerk.
He was, and he was very rude on top of that.
I personally didn't see any reason why he had to be such a jerk, but he must have been
The
being
script
paid
told
good.
him to.
Well, yeah, that. Also, he just kind of looks like a jerk. That could be makeup.
That's natural. They picked certain actors to look like jerks that are jerks.
Oh, so he has a jerk face.
He does have a jerk face. No offense if you're ever listening. Right. But if he is listening, boy, there goes our chance to have him help us out on the show.
All right, so let's just mark him off the list. Not future guest.
Not future guest. Don't
Okay.
get him a Christmas card either this year.
I don't get anyone Christmas cards.
Stephen, we'll get into that in another episode. Wait till it's time to do a Christmas movie.
Don't tell my mother.
Okay, I won't. Stephen Merchant. I love Stephen Merchant for a reason far off movies. He is the best Newcastle spokesperson ever created.
Is that how you know him?
I knew him first from Newcastle commercials. The commercial for the beer.
Is that a sign of the times we're living in? That's how you know Stephen
That's
Merchant?
how I first knew him.
Secondly,
yes, with good old Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're like attached at the hip.
As a matter of fact, I'll do a Ricky Gervais impression while I let that damn cat out, because it sounds like he's starving, and he's not. He just misses you, and he's going to come out here and make noise. But here's my Ricky Gervais. If you'll excuse me, I got to go get... The cat is screaming in the other room. It's ridiculous, isn't it? All right? Right? Oh, no. It's a cat. Ah! He's laughing. It's over here. Come here. Come on, you stupid cat. All right, you can come outside. Right? It's going to make a bunch of noise out of you. Cat is silly, isn't it? Silly.
In it.
Okay, we're back.
In it. INNIT. In it.
Stephen Merchant, an incredible actor, and I had no clue how much of an incredible actor he was. I knew that he was a great comedian. I knew that he was very funny with improv. And I've seen him, he's been on the improv show with Drew Carey, Whose Line Is It Anyway?
He has.
He has. He's been on that several times. And he is hilarious. But, time out, I gotta breathe. I'm out of breath from getting this little bastard.
Hey, give him his breath back.
Exactly. What was that movie? There was a movie where the cats would steal your breath at night.
Oh, I don't want to think about that. I've had cats before.
It's a good movie. All right, back in. So, if anything, Steve Merchant's character in this, playing the gentleman that could not have sun on his face, is that a character from the comic book? Because I'm stupid.
It is. It's a character from the comic book, and he actually appeared in X-Men Apocalypse.
And he was Steve Merchant?
No, he was not Steve Merchant. The character of Caliban in X-Men Apocalypse was played by, let's see, Thomas Lemarquis.
Wow.
And that actor played him as way more of a jerk. Someone who was really... Sweeter. Oh, yeah. No, the Caliban from the previous movie was really just out for personal gain. As soon as he met whoever the bad guy in Apocalypse was, fake god. What was his name? I don't know.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, well, I saw it not that long ago, but whatever.
I have X-Men Apocalypse in the computer.
He was really all about just personal gain. And there is actually a moment in this movie in which Caliban kind of laments to the fact that he used to be kind of an ass.
That's pretty cool that Steve Merchant buttered it up.
He did.
And he made it so sweet. You want to have a Callahan of your own. A Callahan?
Caliban.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Tommy Callahan and his motor company with David Spade.
Playing him off as the comedic relief in this movie was probably one of the few ways that they could get away with, any kind of comic relief in this movie.
True.
Since it was played so seriously. So
immensely seriously.
I could only imagine that when they were, sitting there thinking about who to cast for this movie, Stephen Merchant was a first choice because they were just lacking comic actors.
And who better?
Who better?
Stephen Merchant. And then you could check the list for the rest because I really don't think anyone else matters, do they?
The only other person that I noted when I was looking who was in this movie was, let's see here. Who's this guy?
Quincy Jones? Oh,
Quincy Jones.
Sorry, that was somebody else.
No. The father. There's a family in this movie, which we'll get to that in a moment.
Oh, Anthony Escobar.
No, Anthony Escobar. What list are you reading from?
Eric LaSalle.
Yeah, Eric LaSalle. He is, I don't want to say popular, but at least he's a very popular?
He is popular. He was big in...
I don't want to say popular, but he's popular.
He was the one...
He's been all over TV.
And he was in Coming to America. He was in
Coming to America. 1988's Coming to... Holy shit.
Sorry. I didn't mean to scare you.
How many decibels was that? Can we get a measurement?
Louder than the fire alarm earlier. He played the Afro Sheen wearing Soul Glow.
I don't have his character name in here, but I did know that he was from Coming to America was one of his first screen credits. But he has credits going all the way back to 1982, I think. So he started acting quite a while ago. Yeah. But he's very well known on TV shows like ER.
Yes.
And fairly recently, he was a recurring character on Under the Dome.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet my cat, Jerry.
Oh my God, Jerry.
He plays that quite often when I'm recording a show. Those who know my shows know Jerry very, very, very well.
Play that jam, Jerry.
He's looking for the cat.
She gone, buddy. She moved on to a nice calico down the road.
Just go down the road. All right, so those are the actors.
Yeah, those are the big ones. I mean, we know most of them. There were a whole ton of other characters on the cast sheet. A lot of the, what were they called? Reavers or whatever. Those jerks come in, the muscle.
The
muscle.
bad guys.
Yeah, the bad guys working under
rude
Pierce.
people.
Yeah, a lot of those guys were like MMA fighters and first to movie people. Just kind of new guys on the movie scene.
But really athletic.
Definitely athletic. They needed to be, especially
yes, if you're
because of that scene we'll get to when they first encounter Xavier and Logan.
We'll get that in number
Laura.
4.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Number 3.
How much did this cost? How much money?
More money than I'll probably make in my whole lifetime.
Number 4. No. How much did we spend on this puppy?
I saw a lot of different estimates, but it looks like the number that is officially
I can pull it up for you.
quoted. No, I have it right here.
Oh, excuse
it's $125 million, roughly. I saw 2 official listings for the budget of the movie. One was at 122 and one was at 127. So I'm going with 125 right in the middle. It made about $88 million in opening weekend.
Jerry's impressed.
It almost made back its money in opening weekend. I know, ain't that a lot of dough, Jerry? And it had a worldwide box office of $612 million
good.
when all was said and done. So it made its money back and then some.
I'll say.
There were a couple of other numbers that I was trying to look for. I can see that it made $226 domestic, or sorry, it made a little bit more than that. Yeah, more than like 10 people went and saw this movie, which is pretty much on par with the other Wolverine movies, the other Logan movies, and it's pretty close to on par with the other X-Men movies as well.
Okay.
I think a couple of them went up towards the $200 million mark, but they were all around this amount of money.
And a quick question: this is definitely owned by Marvel. Marvel.
No, not so much. Fox has retained rights to X-Men in particular, and they have been putting out their own movies separate of Marvel and or Disney.
But this is a Marvel movie.
Technically, it does exist within the same universe as Marvel.
Freaky, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. But,
Routing of paychecks difficult in this situation.
Yeah, different routing numbers for the paychecks, different banks, different people signing off. We could definitely get into that because that's just a whole nother thing.
We will. Before the end of the show, we'll do that.
Absolutely. But here are the numbers.
Please.
$125 million to make it. Mm-hmm. It made $88 million in its opening weekend. Oof. And by the time all was said and done, it made $612 million.
Hello. That's closer to $1 billion than not.
Closer to $1 billion, yes. And here's the odd part. Well, not even odd, but it's kind of been the trend lately.
Yes.
It made $226 million domestic. So here in the U.S., that's how much money it made.
Okay.
But it made $386 million in the international market. That's outside of the United States.
And it's an American comic.
It's an American movie, yeah. But as has been the trend lately, a lot of movies are making a lot more money outside of the United States.
Isn't that freaky?
A little bit, I guess.
Is it because a lot of Americans left the country when Trump became president?
No, I think it's because a lot more countries are starting to have a lot more money than people in the United States.
That's a good point, too.
I can tell you of a couple of Chinese people that have a lot more money than I do.
I can think of a couple, too.
And I still went and saw this movie.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. But yeah, so $612 million, and now that it's out on DVD, it's going to make a little bit more money because of that. When all is said and done, I wouldn't be surprised if it passed $700 million.
The amount of features on the Blu-ray version compared to the DVD is disgusting.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's talk about some of those features. You heard about the black and white?
No, I have not, and I haven't seen all the features either.
Well, I don't know much about the
But
features.
please tell me about this black and white.
I rented the movie, I watched it, and I brought it back to my local grocery store the next day because I fell asleep afterwards. Actually, that's not true. I ate some cheesecake, and then I fell asleep. Sorry.
Is this why you
Full disclosure, I ate some cheesecake. I love cheesecake. It's great. Eat more cheesecake, people. Anyways, so I returned to home. I didn't actually view any of the special features, but it was when you get movies from the Red Box, oftentimes they are kind of bare bones movies.
Right.
They don't usually have all of the features that something you would buy in the store would have, but there are a couple of extra features in some of these like deluxe box set type things that you would get from the store, including this fully black and white version of this movie.
Now, why would they make a black and white version of it?
I'm not entirely sure. To look fancy, to be a little bit more noir.
Had extra space on the disc.
They might have. I'm not really sure of the reason why they would have done this. I personally, I don't see the point because the movie was clearly filmed in color. When you're filming something in black and white, you're going to pay special attention to things like contrast and how bright it is outside. It's better to film black and white on like a overcast day than it is on a bright day, that kind of thing. But this was filmed in color. It was filmed with all of the go-tos for a nice high quality, high definition show. So they're kind of just after the fact turning it black and white to appear fancy pantsy,
I think
like
it's under fancy pantsy in the disc.
I think, yeah.
The actual term.
Yeah. Do you want to watch it in 16:9? Do you want to watch it in fancy pantsy? That's how it goes. Yeah. So
I'm colorblind. Put it on fancy pantsy.
I don't need all those fancy colors. I can't see them anyway. Grayscale. That's all I need. Anyways.
And why'd they do that?
I don't know. It's been a trend on I think ever since Sin City came out, to be honest. People have...
Now, Sin City was done very well. In
Sin City was intended to be that way from the start, or at least probably somewhere from the middle. But that is a movie that was shot and was going to be viewed in mostly black and white.
And red.
Yeah. Black and white, red, a couple other colors thrown in here and there.
And did you see Sin City 2, Look at My Boobs, through the whole film?
No, I didn't see that. I never really enjoyed that movie. I thought it was like a color by numbers that someone didn't quite finish.
I always put it in the grindhouse picture department, and it's kind of cheeseballish. I have movies that I categorize as pure crap, great with a hot dog and fries. And that's what Sin City is, great with a hot dog and fries. There's just no meaning to it. It's pointless.
So they had a hot dog and fries, and occasionally they spill ketchup on the cells.
Right. And part 2 is seriously nothing but the woman's chest.
Oh.
And the whole film, she's just showing off boobs through the whole thing. Storyline.
Do you have part 2? Could I borrow part 2? Is that a thing that you have? I'm just asking. If you don't have it, that's cool. I'll rent it or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, God, help me. It's next time I'll start because I am terrible at synopsises. In fact, I would graciously give this to you if you just please.
Oh, I can't. I've done like 70% of the talking so far.
All right,
go
ladies
ahead.
and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you what I know. All right, so Logan's old, and you pretty much know this right off the bat. Logan is changing his shirt, and he's showing off his old scars and everything that he's been through. But you're also noticing that he's not healing properly. He's supposed to heal perfectly through everything, and that seems to be fading. So you're starting to get the idea that maybe Logan's not doing so hot.
That and the fact that he's like guzzling down alcohol like it's water.
Like it's water and a half, if I can add that half on there. The areas where the shards come up through his hands, the knives.
Yeah, his claws, when they come out and they retract.
They're not so great anymore.
Yeah, he's still got little scabbies there.
And scabies.
Yeah,
you go to the doctor when you got scabies.
Yeah, when you got scabies, you need to get something to take care of those scabies. And he's just kind of like
Neosporin or something. But so he's not doing so hot. And then as the movie progresses, he's debating whether or not to help with this other situation that comes about, and he's like, I'm tired of helping. Let's just get to the point. I wish I'd die, but I can't. It's taking forever, but I know I'm gonna die. And this is where I get stupid, because I remember that for some reason, all of a sudden he's driving that limo and there's a little girl in the back seat. Now, how did that come about?
Well, when we first meet up with him, he's in bad shape.
Yeah.
It's almost hard seeing this character in that kind of a condition.
You just want to say, you've let yourself go.
It's even more than him just letting himself go. It's almost like he's been beaten down so many times that now he just doesn't even want to get back up.
Right.
And it's sad when you first see him. It's like seeing a puppy that's been abandoned by the side of the road.
Very visual and true, though.
You just want to be like, you're so dirty and your claws are bloody and I wish I could help you, but I don't even know how. And
Tell
you don't
me
know how. Well, how? Miracle drug?
No, I mean, you're telling this to Logan.
Yeah.
You're saying, Logan, help me.
Oh,
understand you.
Logan, get your shit together, bro. Come on. Stop looking so sad, all right? We understand. You lived for 180 years? Some absurd amount of time like that. You've been through a lot. You're giving up now. Really?
After
Come on.
180 years?
Yeah.
That kind of makes me tired.
He's a freaking limo
And I'm
driver.
only 47.
That's what he's
Go ahead.
doing.
Yeah, he's a limo driver.
That's the first thing you're going to notice is wait a second. He's a limo driver? What happened? I thought he was an X-Man. Isn't that what he did? He used to go kick some ass. Where's Magneto? Doesn't he need every couple of years he needs a good ass kicking?
Yeah.
Magneto, and then they let him go for some reason, and then you get to kick his ass again in a few years. So I'm thinking this must be an in-between time. This is in between Magneto ass kickings.
Hiatus.
Yeah, it's a hiatus. So he's he has a side job. He's just driving a limo. And you immediately figure out that this is also an R-rated movie because within the first few minutes, he puts his claws through someone's skull. He says the F-bomb about 10 times, and he sees some titties.
And that's weird because this is what gets me. Ever since Deadpool, and this is a sidetrack, but ever since Deadpool, it seems like they're getting a little bolder with this. They made so much money off of being darker.
They are, and they can draw from a lot more in the comic universe because there are a lot of comics which visit the dark side a little bit further than PG-13 movies would allow.
Every time that X-Man Wolverine guy puts his knife through someone's head, you see it go through somebody's head.
Yeah, with little brain bits stuck on there.
Nuggets.
He's got to walk around with wet wipes, I imagine, to get that off.
Something, Huggies.
You don't want brain bits just on there. It'll start to smell.
You get that confused with bacon bits. It's in your salad.
Yeah, he'll be like, is that mine? Or, no, that's brain. I got to get that off.
You have to know the difference by taste.
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
know where we're going with this, but so yeah, it's darker, and it freaked me out a little bit. I was like,
definitely
I never
darker.
heard Logan curse that much.
And it has a couple of moments in there too, like a little montage moment where he's driving around a bunch of pretentious little pricks in his limo. That's where he sees the boobies, which I think they must have only thrown that in there because they were like, well, it's R-rated. Let's throw some boobies in there for the people. In the first 10 minutes, let's have some boobies.
R stands for rackage.
Yep, rackage. Rackage? Really?
Rackage.
Rackage.
AGE, rackage, yeah.
Rack. Not with a W, with an R. Rackage.
Yeah, rackage.
Yeah. I'm going to start using that.
Hey, nice rackage.
Nice rackage you got there.
By the time they figure it out, you're out of the way, so you don't get it.
I'm gone, so the boyfriend don't hit me.
That's right.
He gets in a fight with a bunch of these gangbanging losers, and he quickly disperses them. And in a scene or two later, he's going to buy some drugs from some nurse who's definitely selling them off the books. And you're thinking to yourself, wow, how can he go any lower? Can he go any lower?
Yes.
Yep. He's going to go lower, as in lower than the United States. He's going to Mexico. Yeah, so he crosses the border and he drives through the desert for a quick bit, and then he Hi-ya!
Sorry, go ahead.
And he shows up at this weird, dilapidated compound where we are introduced to Caliban. He's
Not to be confused with Taliban.
No, he's not going to see the Taliban.
They're not in Mexico.
He's an ass and alcoholic, but not a terrorist.
Right.
So he's going to see Caliban.
Much brighter.
Yep, a fellow mutant who you quickly realize is the caretaker of Xavier. Hey, Patrick Stewart himself, who in his first introduction has quite possibly the best comic moment of the whole movie.
Which is, and I can't remember now.
Oh, it's the moment where he's driving around in his wheelchair acting all
that's
nuts,
right,
and he
that's
does the
right.
Taco Bell commercial because he doesn't know where he is and blah,
Why
blah, blah.
he is and everything
Yeah,
else.
he said something about a new food which is coming out from Taco Bell, which I really hope they actually come out with because it sounded delicious. You know, if he was
So
here in
he's-
that commercial in 2029, I can wait until 2029 to get that new cheesy, delicious goodness.
Not that far away when you think about it.
No, it's not. It's 12 years from now.
Golly.
Ollie. Anyways, so he goes and he sees them. They have a quick conversation. This is probably the first moment of exposition in the movie. It's the first time they explain how they got here, what might have happened in the past, why Logan is such a sad sack of and why Professor Xavier is absolutely nuts. And he's in a water tower, a
Yeah.
fallen over, decrepit water tower,
Rusty,
is what he's
musty
living
rust.
in.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I could have thought of a bunch of better places to stick him. A water tower seems like they just talked to a realtor and they were like, oh, this is great. And also it has this large, we'll take it. Oh, but I didn't even explain. Yeah, it's good. We'll take it.
But why would Caliban be there in the middle of the desert where the sun is the hottest and he has a lot of issues with the light?
I think it was just a matter of there not being many people left. I think Caliban was just one of the few remaining mutants, which is a whole other thing too. Something has happened. We're not really privy to it yet at this point in the movie. There's a few throwaway lines which kind of explain it, but since this isn't a movie about what
X-Men, right.
took out all the mutants or what has happened in this period of time between, the previous movies and now, we don't really know why everything is so sad. All that we know is something happened.
Something happened.
That's it. Something happened.
Kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
Well, it wasn't great. Whatever happened, it was pretty.
So the only other part we should say without really ruining the movie, obviously we want to spoil a little bit, but not the whole thing, is the inductee of the little girl who kicks ass with the hangnail.
Logan at this point was already approached by a woman. He was like, what was he, at a funeral or something?
Yes.
Yeah, he was at a funeral being even more sad. Just because he was already sad. He
He's
was
always
sad
spiraling
looking,
down.
sad sounding, and now he's at funerals too, because why not,
Yes, because why not? It fits the forte.
It's part of his thing.
And up comes a female Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes. What was her name? Gabriella? I
Sure.
think that might have been his
what-
actress's name.
That's the
but-
actress name, but yes.
or whatever. She comes along and she's like, "Oh, you gotta help Mr. Logan," and yeah,
You got to help us, please.
yeah, you gotta help us. And he's like, "F off." And so, bleep that out if you want, but I'm pretty sure that
This is
he said
exactly
that.
what he said.
Yeah, it was one of his 67 FUs
Yeah.
in the movie. And so he moves on, but at this point, he's really hurting for money, which is something they haven't really dealt with in any of the X-Men movies. They're always building X-fighters.
buildings,
Yeah,
I mean.
Xavier's got all this cash. He's got this beautiful mansion in upstate New York.
I didn't really think about that till now.
Oh, they're
that
never hurting for money. I just assume there's this
This
one.
is a poor man's superhero movie.
It really is. I mean, Xavier must have had some little young mutant who just shit out gold bricks, I assume.
Somewhere.
Yeah, that was his mutant power. It'd be like, oh,
Cha-ching, cha-ching,
yep,
cha-ching.
every time.
Yeah.
He'd make a cha-ching noise because there would be another gold brick. Let's bring that to the bank. Thank you. I can add a West Wing to the mansion. Xavier's school for weirdo kids. So we're introduced to Logan. He ain't doing so well. He's drinking a lot. He's buying drugs. Then he's, contacted by this lady who needs his help, but he's like, you know what? I'm not about that right now. I'm about driving my limousine. That's pretty much what I'm about right now.
That's all he wants to do.
Yeah, he wants to see boobies every once in a while and drive around some entitled kids. That's what he wants to do.
That's right.
Yeah. So he, tells her to get lost, and then you see him go to Mexico. But hey, guess what? Little girl that the lady was talking about, oh, she hitched a ride. She was in the trunk. Oh, and he quickly realizes this. Well, we do more than he does.
Yeah.
He seems to just be like putting on the stupid
Oblivious
mask
to
real
this,
quick.
yeah.
He's like, oh, backpack? Where'd this backpack come from?
Oh?
Did I steal a backpack? Look for the little girl. So he does, and he finds her, and it turns out that Xavier's been talking to her telekinetically, and that now they have a mission. Ooh, do you know what this mission is, buddy?
I think it's to save the world from the Cretans that were mean.
Roughly. I think it was actually to stop this bad guy from using the Statue of Liberty as this big antenna to turn a bunch of people into mutants.
That's what I was trying to tell you.
Yeah, that's what... no, wait. No, they done that. Oh, that was...
I thought they were...
Sorry, that was 2000. This is 2029.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Totally different idea.
They were trying to stop him from using the knocked-over silo that he was living in to turn the rest of the world into mutants.
Yes. No.
Oh.
Yeah. I think it was actually to stop Jean Grey. Wasn't that it? She just lost her mind. She wanted to end the world. She was working with Magneto. She started dissolving a bunch of people.
What?
No, yeah, that was it, right? Oh, no, it wasn't. Much more subtle plot.
I think it was because the aliens came down and they used that staff to make all the people turn into robots.
Yeah. No, was Will Smith in that one?
It's when Darth Vader was his father. I don't
figures.
know. I really can't remember.
There was
what happened in
about
this
10
one.
different movies from 2000 to 2017, and some of them jumped back and forth in time, and some of them just completely rewrote the entire chronological storytelling of this. So if you're a little bit confused at this point, don't be.
So
it's
this is where you give it the medium then.
This is one of the reasons that I give it the medium, is because they do not give you enough of a reason to care about what this
Fight
new
is about.
organization, what was it even called? Alkali? Did they reuse Alkali?
No, they took that from the battery.
They took that from the old Alkali Lake Project X. Wolverine is a bad guy, give him adamantium
Maybe.
nonsense that was going on in some of the other movies. This is kind of the point in which I'm lost.
So this is what I thought is they were trying to fight off the clone version evil Wolverine.
He's not even brought up for another half an hour.
Then I fell asleep during that part too.
That doesn't surprise me.
No cheesecake and
people
all.
get old. Anyways.
That's me.
Yeah, so they find her. She's like, you got to take me to these coordinates. It's a safe zone for the remaining mutants. And you're like, remaining
That's
mutants?
what it was. That was the thing.
Why are there no more mutants? I thought this was just kind of a world in which it sucked to be a mutant. I didn't know that all the mutants were gone. And then you're slowly introduced the idea that most of the mutants in the world are gone. Why? Did Professor Xavier kill him? No, but he killed some mutants. He had a brain hiccup that killed the X-Men or something.
Right.
What's going on there? In the Old Man Logan comics, Logan was the one that killed a bunch of the X-Men and eventually resulted in the disbanding of the X-Men themselves. But in this one, it was Xavier, but we don't know what's killing Xavier. Is it the same thing that killed all the other X-Men? I don't know. This is where it really starts to mess with my brain.
Well, all I can recall is that the same coordinates that she's looking for are in the comic book.
They're in the comic book, which, hey, if you want to hide something, why not hide it in plain sight, right?
Now, before we continue again, did Stan Lee ever show up in this movie?
No, he only does in the Marvel ones.
Damn, I was really looking forward to seeing him.
Yeah, and Spider-Man.
And Spider-Man.
Which is now part of the Marvel. They were the same thing. They were gonna be separate, but now they're the
That's
same.
good. I'm
They're
glad.
part of the same.
That
Marvel
is good
universe.
because we need him in
But
there.
no, Stanley generally doesn't.
Okay. So
At this point in the movie, so you saw this, what, 2 weeks ago?
yeah, about 2 weeks ago, but I can't even remember my middle name half the time. But yes,
What is your middle name?
it is actually Augustine.
Augustine.
No, it's not. It's Hewlett, like Hewlett Packard, and I swear to God, that's the truth.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, I believe you.
Thank you,
Do you know what mine is?
Edgar.
No.
Louis Dreyfus Peterman.
You don't even know my last name, you son of a bitch.
I really don't.
That's all right. It doesn't need to be on the podcast.
Pamela. Pomilari.
Hey, the spaghetti sauce.
Is it the Pomilari?
My middle name is Gene.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's simple. It's to the point. But anyway, sorry. We're off
What's
track.
your last name? Pamela?
Palmieri.
Palmieri. Good
Yeah,
Lord.
Louis Jean Palmieri.
It's pretty cool. It sounds like a folk artist's name.
Yeah, it's very Italian, and I'm not. So I don't know what's up with that. But anyways, we're lost at this point in the plot.
Right.
They're introducing a couple of things without giving you any major like backstory monologues or any of that kind of crap. They're just kind of saying like, oh, we had a thing, and oh, there's, you know, fewer mutants left, and we're the only ones left, and random statements like that. So you're left to think, okay, something bad has happened in the last, 15 or 12 years or however long it's been. So what is it? Well, guess what? You don't get to know, which a part of me really likes. Because this isn't a movie about the X-Men. This isn't a movie about the X-Men universe. This is a movie about Logan. Logan, what Logan is going through, what Logan has to do. And, spoiler alert, Logan dies at the end of this movie.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you fall asleep for that too? Yes, Logan dies at the end of this
I
movie.
thought he just had a headache.
No, you were on your way to the little death.
A little death.
You were unconscious probably. You didn't see it. So guess what? I'm spoiling this movie for you.
Oh.
Logan dies. Oh, you want something even better than that?
The little girl's his daughter.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so you were awake for that part.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I was going to say. Xavier dies too. Oh,
What?
Yeah. Oh, shit. Yes, he does.
Who's going to fly the Enterprise now?
No one. It probably crashed. It fell into the sun, black hole, time travel. Who knows what happened?
Black
he was
hole
cloned.
sun.
No, he's a Borg now. It doesn't matter.
Black Hole Sun, he died too.
They're all dead. Everyone's dead. It's 2029. All the old fogies are gone. Here's the go-to for the movie, for
Okay.
the plot of the movie.
All right.
Logan, he's doing shitty. And then all of a sudden, someone comes along and says, you got to help me. He don't want to, because everyone he tries to help ever ends up dead or suffering.
Or hurts him.
But he gets wrapped up in it anyways, and Professor Xavier is like his old father, decrepit and whatnot. So he gets dragged along with it too, becomes integral, and he ends up with this little girl who has healing factor and also an adamantium skeleton, just like him. Why? Well, because she was created using his DNA by some kind of crazy corporate organization that wants to create new Weapon X monsters. Basically a continuation of the same program that created him. It's still going. They're still making little messed up mutants, and it's yeah, and they're going strong. And so now he's left with this like surrogate child that he has to help get to this sanctuary in the middle of nowhere that he only has coordinates to. He doesn't believe exists, but ironically, most of the other people in the movie do believe it exists, so I guess it must. And he goes on what is essentially a road trip filled with lots of clawing and mutantness. Tons of death as well. I mean, why not? It's an R-rated movie after all. And at the end of the movie, he eventually gets the girl to where she needs to go, but not without eventually sacrificing himself and all this other nonsense. We probably did the plot of this movie no justice whatsoever. But
we did, because you explained it very, very well.
That's it right there. This is essentially a road trip movie with lots of blood and a slight sci-fi tinge to it. That's what this movie
I understand
is.
your medium now, and I
Yeah.
can see why you say that. That's good. I
They're
like
also-
the actional parts.
Oh, they were definitely good.
Actional. Yeah, they were very good.
Now, what did I say the budget for this movie was? It was
$125 million.
$125 million. The thing I'm wondering about this is, where did that $125 million go?
Good question. I think it went into the doubling of him fighting himself. And I guarantee you that the person that himself was fighting was either partly digital or a younger actor with face mapping, because I know that...
Do you think it was Andy Serkis?
I don't know. It could have been.
That would have been weird, although he would have been fighting like a midget version of himself.
I don't know, but I know that Hugh Jackman, is that the right way?
That's him, yeah.
He is much older than the person that he was fighting, so I think that was fake. The other
Probably,
thing,
well, yeah, they did that with computers for sure.
and all the money it costs, even though going to a hardware store and getting a can of silver paint, to take care of a toe that is protruding like that. I need to WD-40 this chair again. That's I hate that sound when you're recording.
So, do you think they just spent like a couple $1 million in tough actin' Tinactin for that little girl's toe?
I think so.
Oh, that's rough.
I think tough acting, Tinactin.
Also, do you think they paid Hugh Jackman twice?
They had to.
Yeah.
His likeness costs.
So you know what? That was like a third of the movie budget right there, because for the previous two Wolverine movies, he was paid $20 million each. So I imagine he made at least $20 million for regular Logan, and then young Logan, that's another $20 million right there. Yeah, $40 million for Logan. Probably $10 million bonus just for appearing in the
Saying
trailer. Yes. Yeah.
You could see him asking him, "You want me to what?" And then you're like, "Okay, we'll pay you. We'll pay you good."
$5 million for me to die. Otherwise, I'm gonna pop out of the grave at the end.
That's right.
Test me with the claws and everything.
Right next to Freddy Krueger.
Okay, so that was the basics of the movie. He does die at the end. He gets his daughter. They have a few of these like really cute daddy-daughter moments where he kind of has emotions that aren't like I want to kill someone or I really want a cigar. You know, he has better emotions than those towards this girl.
The girl could have been a little more lovable.
She could have been a little bit more lovable, which is where we're going with number 5. Why'd they do that?
Why'd they do that?
Why'd they do that?
Why did they make the girl so crabby and angry and mindless? Is that the cloning factor?
Along the same lines of that, why did they make her mute for the first half of the movie?
That bothered me. She knew Spanish, too, and she wouldn't speak it.
She could very well speak, and she didn't. And yet you could see with her eyes and her actions that she was just angry and crabby and
But understood every
upset.
word. Yeah.
I mean, then again, she was an experiment by a secret corporation who was forced to kill and, was also forcibly given this adamantium skeleton. So, I mean,
that'll make you a
the
little
fact that
upset.
she's a little crabby, all right, I get it. It's not just hormones.
Killer hangnail toe.
Yeah. Oh, and the hangnail. Forget about it. I mean, they must have filed that thing down every other day. And that hurts.
Hammer toe.
Hammer toe.
And,
And, I mean, her father has 3 claws. They only gave her 2.
and that's got to be very frustrating.
Yeah.
Claw envy.
Women's equal rights, man.
It's everywhere.
Even in this movie, she is only getting 2/3 of what a man is getting.
God knows if she only got paid $2.5 million.
I think she was probably paid in McDonald's vouchers. Happy Meal vouchers.
Probably.
But yeah, why did they do that? Why did they make her mute? Was there any reason for that you could see besides just like trying not to reveal too much of the plot early on?
I asked her, she wouldn't answer.
Yeah, well, that figures. All right. Number 6. I got a problem with that.
Yeah.
Do you got a problem with anything in this movie?
The problem that I had was realized when you proved to me that, yeah, you're right. There really is no foundation for why he's going to save the world from what?
Nothing.
And another thing, too.
He's not saving the world from anything. He's just saving the one girl.
And
That's it.
Well, he's saving the girl, but at the same time, I'm thinking, okay, well, there's got to be the logistical reason of family, but he doesn't want to admit it. And he's trying to also get Xavier out of there so he doesn't get killed. And he wants to save Stephen Merchant because, Steve's going to get killed.
Yeah.
And Merchant, I was proud of him for doing what he did. He knew he was going to hurt. That doesn't feel good when you blow something up. And by the way, spoiler alert, Merchant dies.
Yep, Caliban dies too. They all die. Everyone dies in this movie. There's at the end of the movie, the only people left are the kids. That's it. The kids live, and everyone else is pretty much croaked. There's just a pile of bodies in the woods leading up to where those kids went.
Almost like crumbs from the cookies.
Yeah. They can follow the bodies back to where they started if they left anything behind. Like, oh man, I left my iPhone back at the cabin. Well, just go by the decapitated guy.
Right.
That one with the clawed face, go by him.
Legless Wonder.
X24, the one that looks like your father, you just walk by him about half a mile, you find your iPhone. Yeah.
That's where it is.
Yeah, that's where it is.
Just follow it through.
Follow all the bodies.
That's the problem I had. And I'm guessing you... Any other problems that you had?
I had a slightly different problem, and this is more of a... Well, I'll just put it out there. They gave a 10 or 11-year-old girl an adamantium skeleton. I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense to me. She still has 16, 17 years of growth to happen.
That's
she's going to become a bigger person. You give someone an adamantium skeleton, how are they going to grow? She's going to be all scoliosis. She's going to have a crooked spine. Yeah, her bones are going to grow outward instead of longwise. Well, I verbed it. It's a verb now. But she can't get any bigger. And, later on in life, are they going to give her that extra claw? There's no one to give her the extra claw. She's just going to have two for the rest of her life and be like, I'd give you the middle claw like my father used to do to people, but I can't. So instead, just, up yours. But seriously, to have a adamantium skeleton covering all of your bones, but still be trying to grow?
They grow.
Maybe. I don't know. But the whole thing that was killing Logan, I think we glossed over this part, was adamantium poisoning. Or so they say. It was probably also partially whatever it was they were putting in the food that was killing people as well and taking out all the mutants. Part of some vast conspiracy to get rid of all the mutants in the world. But she's a little person. She's a child. To give a child a skeleton on top of their skeleton is basically telling their other skeleton, well, you're done. You're done. You can't do anymore. Sorry. Bye. Besides that, the only other problem I got with this movie is where was the government? Where were all the police?
Yeah,
Where was all them?
It wasn't really apocalyptic, but at the same time, there's nothing.
It wasn't apocalyptic. All the mutants were gone, so I guess they just disbanded the organization in the CIA and FBI that was taking care of mutants. In the first X-Men movie, that senator was talking about mutants' rights and mutant registration and all that stuff. And now, apparently, 30 years later, it's well, they're all dying out anyway, so I guess we don't have to do anything. We can divert these funds to closing off the Mexican border because, the next biggest threat to mutants, Mexicans.
That's true.
Gotta build that wall.
We gotta build the wall because what they do is they hop the wall and they come over and they steal your foot caps.
Or they'll teleport through the wall, or they'll Kitty Pryde through the wall. You gotta make this wall really, really good.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, so let's divert those funds.
Another problem I have really quickly is the fact that you're naming your skeleton after a British pop star.
What? Who's that?
Adamant.
Who?
Adamant.
Who?
You ever heard of Adamant?
No, I'm sorry. Is that something that an old person would know about?
So going on to number 7. It's trivia time.
You know what? To be honest, I couldn't find a lot of trivia about this. I saw a couple of little tidbits. It was released on March 3rd because that's 3-3. And Wolverine has 3 claws on each hand.
That's about cheese, isn't it?
Yeah, super cheese. Super cheese. And, of course, the fact that this was based on a comic called Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
So look it up. Google it. You'll find it. Not a whole lot of trivia to go on with this, to be perfectly honest.
I like Logan syrup.
Logan syrup. Is that like maple syrup?
Yeah.
So, where's
log
that from?
cabin syrup. Never mind.
Log cabin
I
syrup.
was way off.
That's all right. We all have a little dyslexia times sums.
I did back in 2031.
Oh.
I had dyslexia.
Uh-oh.
Here, number 8. I have a question. Oh, did you want to ask those questions before I continue?
I'm going to ask at least one of them.
Please.
We talked very quickly about the fact that the X-Men namesake is owned by Fox, and they put out their own movies separate of the Marvel
universe
/ Disney, powerhouse that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But I got a quick question for you.
Please.
So answer me this. Do you think that if the X-Men were a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that a movie like this could have been made?
So if this was part of the Marvel Disney goodies,
if this was made by the same people that made the Avengers and the Iron Man movies,
but they made Deadpool.
No,
who made Deadpool?
I don't know. Someone else.
I thought it was Marvel.
Who made Deadpool?
Marvel.
No.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Honest.
Look it up.
Hold on.
That wasn't Marvel.
Yeah, I think it was.
No, because I think they used the X-Men too, so that must have been also a Sony / Fox. Yep, 20th Century Fox. Yeah.
Let me answer your question.
Okay.
Cut in here, Kevin. Now, my first thought was Deadpool, but we just found out. And I might as well pull
it
that. It
was also made by 20th Century Fox.
So, it probably wouldn't be as vulgar as it was, and it probably wouldn't be as gory as it was. I don't know. I don't think it would have been presented correctly if it was.
There were no spectacular, sensational moments in this movie. They weren't lifting the Golden Gate Bridge or a Coliseum or other things that Magneto did.
Right.
There were not a huge cast of characters, all with various different powers. The kids had a couple of little powers, but they had like
little powers.
30 seconds of screen time each.
Yeah.
So this was really just about Logan and his very sad trek across the country before he dies.
So the answer would have to be probably not. It would be something that would be more comical, number one. It would probably have been a happier movie, even though he was down and out. It would sort of be like Iron Man 3 when he was all down and outish. And but they still, like, his panic attacks were funny instead of a serious problem.
Yeah,
and
he cracked wise even while he was having a serious panic attack.
I think it would have been a more comical movie.
It definitely would have.
So to answer your question, no, it probably would not.
I agree. I don't think it is a movie that Marvel could have or would have made, which is one of the reasons that I am glad that the X-Men intellectual property is separate from
you think
Marvel.
It will ever join?
Eventually, I think it will. Yeah. I think enough money will be thrown at Fox that they're going to be purchased by Marvel. But I think that they will have such an established Marvel Cinematic Universe at that point that they aren't going to merge the two. You're never going to see Captain America fighting
Wolverine.
Yeah, Cyclops or Wolverine or anything like that. Professor Xavier isn't going to play chess with Iron Man. It's never going to happen. And I hope it doesn't, because those two universes are ones which are very different from one another, and they don't blend. They don't blend well. It's oil and water. Yeah, it's not so good. Which goes along with the other question I had, which, do you think this movie could have been made without the R rating?
Yeah.
You think so?
I really do. I think it could have been a very strong PG-13.
I think they could have as well, but I feel like if you really want to show someone suffering, you can't sugarcoat it. And
I think we could, without, and I'm not like please don't think I'm a prude, but we could have done without all the f***s.
I liked them. I liked it a lot. I'm sorry. I liked every time he said, you know, go yourself, shut the up, other various beeps. So, yeah.
It seemed to work.
Every time he dropped one, I got reminded that this was not the same movie that I saw when I was 15. Which is when the first, X-Men movie came out. This has matured along with me, and I am seeing something which applies more to my reality. Bracket? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that they would have made more money if it was PG-13?
Not much more. No, I don't think they would have made much more. I feel like parents are letting their kids see more mature movies in general nowadays. They might have been able to rake in another 100 mil or so, but I also feel like this is setting the stage for more R-rated movies. Yeah. Just like everyone's been saying, and it's old rhetoric at this point, with Deadpool being as successful as it was. They're just setting the stage for a slew of R-rated sci-fi fantasy movies like this. It's no more, PG-13, lovely hobbits, all this other stuff. Now the hobbits are gonna die. They're gonna.
The look in your eyes too when you said that.
They're gonna have a much harder time. Sauron is going to win more often.
Bad habit, Hobbit now
and
in theaters.
Yeah, and the Matrix is going to be a much harsher place with a lot more death and sadness. And it's all going to get a lot darker, and a lot of that.
You're scaring me.
Just to be honest, since movies have hit this period of time, let's say, I want to say around 1990. I'm thinking it was around then. Maybe Jurassic Park. I think Jurassic Park was probably one of the big first ones.
Jurassic World.
Where computer technology and the ability to produce movies much more cost effectively.
The originals, yep.
Yeah. Around that time, they were still sticking with the PG-13 attitude applied to the most audiences because movies are really, really freaking expensive. And even though they're spending more money on movies now, they have a lot more money to spend on movies now.
True.
So they are going to start putting out movies for more niche audiences, and a lot of that is going to be people who grew up in the period of being young kids when Jurassic Park was coming out, or reading some of these movies years ago. They are now all grown up, and they don't want to be talked down to.
They don't want to be spoon-fed. They don't want to be
spoon-fed. They want to see the decapitations. They want to hear the F-bombs. They want to see boobies. They want to see all that cool stuff that PG-13 movies are just not delivering.
Number 8, should there be a sequel?
No.
No, you can't.
Sorry. No, it's quite simple. No, there should not be anything that comes after this. They should not try to revive Logan. The only exception to that, I would say, is maybe show a little bit more of what Laura does when she's an adult, but it shouldn't be a direct sequel. I don't want to see like a movie that takes place 1 year after the events of this.
Right.
I want to see a movie that takes place when she's, 24 years old. She's a young woman. She's kicking some ass. She's figuring out who the new bad guys are in the world and taking care of them.
Do you think that she'll have flashbacks to Logan and then you'll see him in that? Do you think that Hugh Jackman would show up for that movie?
Unless they're doing something that takes place during one of the movies in which Hugh Jackman was a star. I don't want to see him in them anymore.
That would be true.
Yeah, just tell side stories or tell stories that take place in the future. They can still take place in the same universe, but I don't want to see like and then or a flashback to the end of this movie and then the kids running through the woods. I don't want to see that. This story is over. It was told the way it needed to be.
And then what about like 30 years from now when some rich punk comes along and goes, I want to redo all the X-Men movies and redo all...
I'll be too old to argue at that point.
Yeah, that's a good point. The last one?
What would I have done different?
If you made this movie, what would you have done different?
What would I have done different?
You personally.
Like if I were in control.
Let's say you were in the movie and directed and wrote it.
Let's say I was sitting in one of those pretty uncomfortable looking director's chairs,
Yes.
right behind Mangold, and I just whispered in his ear, if I were you, I would have done this.
And they pay you highly to say that.
Well, I liked the movie the way it was, but I would have thrown in a little
Storyline.
Well, I was gonna say a little kickback to Deadpool.
Oh.
Deadpool totally made fun of not only the X-Men, but also Hugh Jackman directly. I would have liked to seen this movie do their own little
Back and
comeback to that. Even if it was so subtle that you didn't really see it, like a billboard or something in the background during one of the chase scenes. I would have loved to have seen Hugh Jackman just draw his eye line to a poster when they were in the casino of like Deadpool with like a drawn going in his mouth or something like that to get him back for the direct I don't even want to call it attacks because it was mostly in love, but the jabs that they took at the X-Men universe and Hugh Jackman in particular, I would have loved to have seen it.
Well done,
or maybe just like if Hugh Jackman pulled something out of the little girl's bag and one of them was a Ryan Reynolds mask, just to make fun of the fact that Ryan Reynolds had a Hugh Jackman mask. Yeah. Just a little kickback like that, I think would have been great.
That would have been nice.
As far as the plot goes and whatnot, I would have liked to have just heard one or two more things about what might have happened to our popular X-Men. Where's Jean Grey?
What happened?
Yeah, because in this, continuation of the storyline, Jean Grey didn't die at the end of X-Men 3. She continued to be a character, and so maybe what is she doing now? Did she get taken out by the weird mystery drug in the corn syrup or whatever it was? Yeah. Or, did she just die because she was also kind of getting old?
Right.
Or is she still alive and hiding? What happened to Storm? I honestly thought that when they were talking about the Sanctuary that they would make note of some of the old X-Men and that they would be the ones running the Sanctuary. I could definitely imagine Old Woman Storm being the old caretaker, bringing up the new protected mutants in this Sanctuary, so to say. But they didn't mention any of them. It's just we are to assume they're mostly dead, I guess, or missing, or
Logan's
whatever.
The last one.
Yeah, it's just Logan and Xavier and Caliban of all of them for whatever reason.
The Merchant needed a job.
Yeah, Merchant needed a job.
Great casting by Merchant.
In between seasons.
I would
TV.
definitely make sure that there was if it was up to me and I'm sitting in that uncomfy chair, let's get a good story baseline in the very beginning, because it was a little confusing in the very beginning. And also make it a little more, it's a lazy thought, but because of the fact that I'm not caught up even to the Apocalypse movie, which I haven't even seen it yet. I feel terrible. But make it appreciable to those who haven't followed the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so, because when it starts off, a little bit more history than just taking off your shirt and showing the scars that you fought before. They
might be assuming that you've been following along. I mean, this is movie number 9 over 17 years.
I missed it.
It's quite a few movies,
I was washing my
lot
hair.
of story. Even if some of it was rewriting of previously told stories, it was still a lot to take in. A day's worth at the very least of movies. It's crazy.
I could sum it up in 20 minutes. Mutants
happened. Bad happened to mutants.
Mutants happen.
Mutants did bad to regular people. Some of them died.
And that's what that does.
Yep, now it's Logan.
So I want to go ahead and give the web address for this movie if people want to go check it out, of course. If you haven't seen it, whatever, purchasable on Amazon, of course, everywhere else that you've spoken of already, even iTunes. But go to www.foxmovies.com/movie/Logan. That's the official site for this particular film. I liked the movie a lot. He liked it medium a lot for the reasons we spoke of. Kind of changed my flavor as well. Mine's gotten a little bland, but I enjoyed watching it, and it was neat to see two Logans fight each other, even though one was a little bit of a bitch. And Louis, thank you so much for doing a show with me.
No problem.
This is fun. I really enjoy it. And again, you were listening to Louis Jean Pomeranian. Palmanabi from India.
Louis Jean Palmieri, yes.
Palmieri. And I am Zerb Flagen. Join us next time when Louis says,
if your claws remain extended for more than 4 hours, please consult a doctor.
That clues you too, Jerry.
All of Zerbinator's music and podcasts are under the Creative Commons license, which allows retelling and rebroadcasting as long as the author is notified and credited. For more great escape pods, please visit www.zerbinator.wordpress.com. If you would like to contact Zerbinatorland, you can send an email to instrumentally@gmail.com or give us a call at 571-408-ZERB or 9372.